The Orkney Islands are a place just off the northern coast of Scotland, with evidence of human habitation going back to the Neolithic period, showing just how long humans have lived on the islands. The Celts would later inhabit the islands, and they would be followed by the Norse, who would settle the islands. Yet there are stories of something watching in the darkness, amongst the rocky cliffs and the stormy seas. Something watching and waiting, its only intent to plague mankind. The Nuckelavee. Now, by this point, Raid Shadow Legends is actively trying to get me arrested. However, Harvey Specter is my lawyer, so they drop the case. But I may need some more lawyer money in the future, and Harvey Specter doesn't come cheap. So for just £1 a month, you can support me on Patreon and get access to these videos 48 hours early. But if you don't fancy doing that, you can support me by simply liking, subscribing, sharing, and tapping that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload. Now, on with the video. The Nuckelavee is a creature from Orcadian folklore that is said to be a man fused at the torso to a horse's body. The head on the human portion of the body is said to be 10 times larger than the head of a normal human being, with the horse head protruding forward like a pig. The horse's mouth is said to ooze a gooey black tar-like substance, whilst steam can sometimes be seen etching its way out of the horse's mouth. The Nuckelavee's legs are said to protrude fins, whilst the arms come out of the human shoulders, go past the horse portion of the body, and actually touch the ground, ending in long talons. The Nuckelavee is completely hairless, but worst of all, the creature's black tar-like blood can be seen pumping around exposed veins and arteries, because the Nuckelavee is also completely skinless. The monster's powerful muscles can be seen writhing as they push their way towards their next victim, its one singular eye glowing a fiery red as it sweeps like a searchlight across the islands, and wherever it went, the heat ray was ready to follow. Okay, that was a War of the Worlds reference, but the rest of the stuff is true. It didn't have a heat ray. Although, at this point, could that make it much worse? It doesn't have a heat ray, but it does get worse. Now, the Nuckelavee actually spends most of its time in the sea, but we don't actually have a description as to what it looks like whilst it traverses the waves. Orkney-born 19th century folklorist and farmer Walter Traill Denison labelled the beast the most cruel and malignant of all uncanny things that trouble mankind. Denison, who was from Sanday, which is one of the more northern of the Orkney Islands, wrote a lot about the island's folklore and mythology. In 1891, 3 years before he passed on, Denison wrote, "Nuckelavee was a monster of unmixed malignity, never willingly resting from doing evil to mankind. In the 16th century, there was an earlier form of the Nuckelavee that was recorded. The Nuckelavee was most known for the misfortune it caused the inhabitants of the Orkney Islands. Its breath was even said to be poisonous, as was the oozing black tar-like substance that, well, oozed from its mouth. This caused disease to spread amongst the population of the Orkney Islands. On top of this, if any cattle fell off a cliff and into the sea, the Nuckelavee was again said to be involved, essentially claiming them for itself and taking them under the sea." Classic film, that one. Can't wait for Disney to release even more remakes and ruin even more childhoods. If the Nuckelavee caught you, it would use its long claws to drag you back to its domain, taking you to the otherworld. The Celtic otherworld, if you're not familiar, is essentially where the Fae live. Although that's a very bad, very rudimentary, and very quick explanation of the Celtic otherworld, which I probably will explore in its own video at some point. And if you would like to see that, leave a like down below. However, the Orkney Islands aren't the only ones to suffer under the reign of a malignant monster. On the Shetland Islands, they have the Nuckelavee, which is their version of the Nuckelavee. Just reading the script here, and at the top of this next paragraph, it says, "Don't say the Nuckelavee's name out loud." Probably should have put that at the start of myself, but, you know, I've started, so I'll finish. The old school inhabitants of the Orkney Islands would refuse to say the Nuckelavee's name, and if they did, they would quickly follow it up with a prayer. The Nuckelavee didn't have free reign of the island all year round, however, as the Mytho of the Sea, or the Mother of the Sea, would keep him at bay during the spring and summer months. However, the Mytho of the Sea didn't have complete control all throughout the year. Oh, hello. What are you doing? Hello. What are you doing up here? If this video gets 100 likes, I'll do more stoic content. As the Mytho of the Sea's power wanes, her eternal nemesis, Tyran, comes forth to do battle with her and bring about his wrathful winter rule. Even though you can't see the battle between these two powerful beings, you can see the effects of it in fierce spring and autumn storms. The cycle repeats every single year, with Tyran being beaten back during the spring and the Mytho of the Sea retreating during the autumn. Essentially, it's a mythological explanation to the changing of the seasons. Once the Mytho of the Sea has retreated, the Nuckelavee finds his way onto dry land. However, we're not totally screwed if we come face to face with the Nuckelavee. You see, the Nuckelavee has one crucial weakness: fresh water. It won't go over rivers and streams for fear of touching any fresh water. In fact, it has such an intense fear of fresh water, it won't even leave the sea just to get onto the beach if it's raining. During the 18th and 19th centuries, the islands would begin burning seaweed in order to produce kelp. The ash produced from this would be rich in potash and soda, which was sought after for making glass and soap. This accidentally opened up another of the Nuckelavee's weaknesses. You see, the scent of the foul-smelling white smoke that was produced as a byproduct of burning the seaweed sent the Nuckelavee into a rage, where it would leave the islanders alone. But it would get its revenge. On the island of Stronsay, the first island to begin burning seaweed, there was an outbreak of mortashine that quickly spread to all the island's horses. However, this quickly spread to all the horses on all the islands. The mortashine caused lesions and ulcerations on the lungs of the poor horses, obviously leaving them in a great deal of pain. However, mortashine may not be as otherworldly a disease as it seems. In fact, today we call the infectious bacterial disease glanders, and in fact the first references to it come from Hippocrates in 425 BCE. Glanders is caused by a bacteria called Burkholderia malae. I think that's how it's pronounced. Denison claims to have met a farmer from the Orkney Islands called Tammas. Tammas would claim to have seen the Nuckelavee when walking home one night, but he wasn't too keen on telling the story at first. However, he would eventually open up to Denison. At first, he simply noticed a large object coming towards him and decided to bravely stand his ground, as he didn't want to be run down whilst he was trying to escape. However, Tammas had a feeling, a sixth sense, that whatever was coming towards him was no earthling. So Tammas decided to say a quick prayer. The Lord be about me and take care of me, as I am out on no evil intent this night. I was going to read the quote in the Orcadian accent it's written in, but I feel like the offence that would cause an international incident. Soon the Nuckelavee revealed itself, its flippers wet and glazed, its mouth literally steaming, and its singular red eye searching up along the road for a target, and that target was Tammas. But what appeared to Tammas most terrible of all was that the monster was skinless, this utter want of skin adding much to the terrific appearance of the creature's naked body, the whole surface of it showing only red, raw flesh, in which Tammas saw blood, black as tar, running through yellow veins and great white sinews, thick as horse tethers, twisting, stretching, and contracting as the monster moved. The monstrous beast charged at full speed towards Tammas, who sprinted as hard as he could, with the Nuckelavee hard on his heels. However, he managed to make it to where the loch turned into a shallow rivulet. This bit is really obliterating my throat. Wait, no, don't clip that. Tammas decided to dive into the rivulet, but only managed to get 1 foot into the water before the Nuckelavee had caught up with him. However, as he put his foot into the water, it caused a splash, and some of the fresh water got onto one of the front legs of the Nuckelavee. The horse gave a snort like thunder and sheed over the other side of the road, and Tammas felt the wind of Nuckelavee's clutches as he narrowly escaped the monster's grip. The Nuckelavee recoiled, and Tammas took the respite to plunge into the rivulet and push his way to the other side as quickly as his body would allow him. The monster didn't give up, however, and its arm reached across the rivulet, but Tammas managed to escape. Yet, as he looked back across the rivulet, Tammas saw his bonnet at the end of the long talons of the Nuckelavee. Nuckelavee gave a wild, unearthly yell of disappointed rage as Tammas fell senseless on the safe side of the water. It's thought that the name Nuckelavee comes from an old Orcadian word, Nuckelavee, which means devil of the sea. Not gonna lie, I had to look up how to pronounce that, and Google told me it was a Norwegian word, which is why I said Nuckelavee in a really bad Norwegian accent, because I'm one of those people, when I hear a word from another language, I overpronounce it, which is so much fun for everyone around me. But yeah, so if that's wrong, I apologise again to the entirety of the Orkney Islands, and please let me know in the comments down below if that's how you pronounce Nuckelavee, and if it is actually an Orcadian word, or if it's a Norwegian word, or if it's both, because, you know, the Norse did settle the Orkney Islands. It's the second time I've made that joke. The Nuckelavee may also get its name from the word nugal, which essentially means a water spirit traditionally appearing in the form of a horse. I see the link with the first one, I don't see it with the second one, I'm not gonna lie. The Nuckelavee has its roots in both Celtic and Norse mythology. However, there's a chance that stories from earlier human inhabitants of the Orkney Islands have also had some influence over the story of the Nuckelavee. In Celtic mythology, you have beings like the Kelpie, which would lure people, normally children, to lakes and rivers where, once they pet it, they would be stuck to it and it would pull them into the water and into the other world. There are some versions of the Kelpie story where once it takes people like under the water, specifically children, and it doesn't take them to the underworld, it just drowns them. Remember this when an American tries to do the meme of, haha, European folklore so cute, American folklore scary. No. The Wendigo wouldn't last 30 seconds in a Celtic forest, a Germanic forest, in a Slavic forest. In Norse mythology, the Nuckelavee may be linked to the Norwegian knock, and it may also be linked to Odin's 8-legged horse with teeth engraved with runes, Sleipnir, which he used to ride through the air and across the sea. On occasion, Odin would visit Hel whilst riding Sleipnir. Hel was a realm in Norse mythology ruled by the goddess Hel. I'm assuming they started to run out of names. Should I be making jokes about the goddess who rules hell and is also named Hell? That's fine, I'm sure she has a good sense of humour. Hell had a horse which had 3 legs, which she rode in times of pestilence, giving another possible origin for the Nuckelavee. There is also another possible origin for the Nuckelavee. Simply put, it's that during times of hardship, the Orkney Islanders needed a common enemy. Something they could blame for the things that were happening to them, instead of pointing the finger at and turning on each other. It's a less fun origin story, however, there is actually a good chance that all of the possible origins have a grain of truth to them. So here we are, the bit where I hand it over to you. Do you believe that the Nuckelavee is real or not? Whatever you believe, the Nuckelavee is steeped not only in mythology and folklore, but history as well. It's also a much harder sell than, say, the Ghillie Dhu. But if we believe Tammas's story, he did see something. Now, it may be easily explainable, or maybe there's more to this piece of Celtic mythology than we're willing to admit. As always with these types of videos, it's up to you how true the stories really are, and you can discuss that in the comments down below. And while you're down there, please let me know if I got anything wrong, if I missed anything, and what you guys would like to see in future videos. Thank you to all my patrons, especially the special mentions. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and tap that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.